Welcome to week 1 of our brand new series called Encounter. This week we're going to talk about demonic pigs. I know that's odd. I know that sounds odd. But we're going to look at the Gospel of Mark and talk about how demonic pigs and the Gospels tie into each other. Just as a brief overview, this lesson is going to talk about, or this series is going to talk about different encounters that people have had with Jesus. But first, I have finally came up with interactive content for our core lessons because I know I was terrible at that during the Salt and Light series. I apologize. Let's do something a little more fun. I have came up with a trick shot contest. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and invent this crazy trick shot in my recording setup, my room, and try and nail it. And it's just going to be with stuff that's around me. So, as an example, I have this Ren and Stimpy ball that I won in a claw game that I am going to use for my trick shot. So, and what I'm challenging you guys to do is create your own crazy trick shot just using the stuff around you, or if you have a basketball hoop at your house, record yourself doing that. If you decide to take on the challenge, post it to social media, post it to Facebook or Instagram with the hashtag #CrazyQuaranShot. I know I was trying to come up with something catchy as best I could do. Leave me alone. And tag us on Facebook at Bethany UMC Youth and Children's Groups, or tag me on Instagram at crazy_youth_director. You'll see them in the lower thirds here. And then, I'm just curious to see what you can do. So let's get started. I'm going to take you with me. So if you hear computer noises, it's me unlatching you guys from my desk. So give me 1 minute to set up, and then we'll get going. Coming on the move with me. Trying to think on how the best setup is. Hold on. I'm going to do something kind of simplistic for me at least. So I'm trying to figure out where the best setup is. But you can see I have the trash can right here. What I'm going to try and do is, actually, we'll do this. Maybe not. No, because this will make it challenging. So what you're going to see, and ignore my messy room, is me just going like this and attempting my crazy Quarren shot. So here we go. Okay. Pray for me. Line up. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Oh man, I missed. We'll go for the second attempt. I'm new to this. Never mobile recorded before. Okay, second attempt. Ready? That's way off. Yeah. Okay. Oop, stay with me, camera. Okay. Let's go for attempt number. Oh, attempt number. I'm trying, guys. I swear. Yeah. Okay, I gotta get a better spot for you. Like I said, ignore the messiness in my room right now. I haven't had a chance to clean it in a bit. So I changed my shot. As you see, we got the trash can here again. What I'm going to try and do without breaking one of my pictures is throw it, try and bounce it off the wall, and get it into the can. So, or maybe I'll do a ceiling shot. I don't know. Oop. Helps if you can see me, right? Okay. Let's do the ceiling shot. So off the ceiling and into the can. And I'll take any of the extra health I can get from the other things in my room. Okay, here we go. I gotta hit the ceiling first, don't I? I don't know how trick shot people do this. Okay, try it again. Oh, I know what? We'll do that. So one of my favorite sports is baseball. I grew up playing. I didn't play baseball in school, but baseball was one of the sports I loved growing up and still do today. So we're gonna try a pitch into the trash can and make it stay there. Because this ball is very bouncy. So let's try it. We're getting this. Okay. The one time I actually make it is the time I can't do it. Here we go. What if I bounce it anyway? Because really, is throwing it that much of a trick shot? I mean, come on. So I'll bounce it in. We'll do that. So let me give you a decent bit more space so you can see the floor. Okay? So what do? I hit 30 close. What attempt are we on? Like attempt 12? We did it. We nailed it, finally. Trust me, I know I don't seem excited, but whew, I am. I am super excited that flipping shot finally landed. So again, let me get everything resituated. Okay. So again, that was my crazy corn shot. You'll see all the different attempts that I tried. If you decide to take the crazy trick shot challenge, post it on social media with the hashtag crazy corn shot. You'll see it in the lower thirds here. And then tag us on social media, whether on Facebook at Bethany UMC Youth and Children's Groups, or tagging me personally on Instagram at crazy_youth_director. Again, both will be in the lower thirds. You'll see it in the description as well. But yeah, there we go. We finally did it. Now my hair is going to be a mess. Yeah, I changed my hairstyle too. Now, I usually wear my hair back. Now I've worn it down today, and it's been a while since I've done that. Okay, so we finally got that done. Let's dive into today's lesson. As I mentioned, this series talks about different encounters that people had with Jesus, and what an encounter is. It's defined as an unexpected meeting of at least two people. And the encounters that we're going to talk about in this series aren't what you would expect them to be. At least many of them aren't what people expect when they think about God, Jesus, and the church. So we're going to learn that encounters with God rarely go as people expect them to. So let's dive in to Mark in the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 20. Jesus and his followers went across the lake to the area where the Gerasene people lived. When Jesus got out of that boat, a man came to him from the caves where the dead are buried. This man had an evil spirit inside of him. He lived in the burial caves. No one could keep him tied up, even with chains. Many times people had to put chains on his hands and his feet, but he broke those chains. No one was strong enough to control him. Day and night he stayed around the burial caves on the hills. He would scream and cut himself with rocks. While Jesus was still far away, the man saw him. He ran to Jesus and bowed before him. As Jesus was saying, "You evil spirit, come out of the man." The man shouted loudly, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you in God's name not to punish me." Jesus asked the man, "What is your name?" The man answered, "My name is Legion, because there are many spirits inside of me. The spirit inside the man begged Jesus again and again to not send them out of that area. There was a large herd of pigs eating on the hill near there. The evil spirits begged Jesus, "Send us to the pigs, let us go into them." So Jesus allowed them to do this. The evil spirits left the man and went into the pig. The herd of pigs then ran down the hill and into the lake. They were all drowned. There was about 2,000 pigs in that herd. The man who had the work of caring for the pigs ran away. They ran to town into the farms and told everyone what had happened, and the people went out to see. They came to Jesus, and they saw the man who had the evil spirit. He was sitting down and was wearing clothes. He was in his right mind again. When they saw this, they were afraid. Those who had seen what Jesus did told the others what happened to the man who had the demons living in him. They also told him about the pigs. The people began to beg Jesus to leave their area. Jesus was preparing to leave in the boat, but the man who was now free from the demons begged to go with him. But Jesus did not allow the man to go. He said, "Go home to your family and friends. Tell them about all that the Lord did for you. Tell them how the Lord was good to you." So the man left and told all the people in the 10 towns about the great things Jesus did for him. Everyone was amazed. So I know that was a lot of story to take in so early on. We covered 20 verses of Mark. We're going to break it down as we go, so hang tight. Let's dive into this a little bit more. So cemeteries, what do you think of when you hear the word cemetery? Post it down in the comments below. During Jesus' time, it was common to bury the bodies in small caves, and this is about as common as our typical burials that we do today. Now, this man lived among those caves. Now, in my opinion, a person who lives in a cemetery is strange, whether it's today in 2020 or happening 2,000 years ago. But there's more to this man's story than his encounter with Jesus. At one point, it sounded like they restrained him with chains. Now he's become too powerful, too crazy, and too strong, even just for the restraints. We go back to what Mark 5:4 says. Many times people had put chains on his hands and feet. He broke the chains. No one was strong enough to contain him. This man is first crazy enough to live in a cemetery, and now he has superhuman strength that allows him to break any of the chains that are put on him. This guy is a little off. Mark 5:5 answers the question, what does a guy who lives in a cemetery all day do? Mark tells us that day and night he stayed around the burial caves on the hills. He would scream and cut himself with rocks. Now, once we have all the scenes set up with all of these descriptions, so we have a crazy guy that lives in the cemetery caves, who's super strong, screams a lot, and cuts himself. His actions toward Jesus, though, don't seem to fit. Mark 5:6 says that while Jesus was still far away, the man saw him. He ran to Jesus and bowed before him. Put yourself in Jesus' shoes right now. This crazy man that acts like a werewolf and lives in the cemetery comes charging after you and bows before you. What? How? Who? What? I mean, think about this. Have you ever invited one of your crazy friends to church for a game night or other special event, only to get really nervous when they show up because you have zero clue how they're gonna act when they get there? Probably similar to what's going on here. And we get to the first main point. Demons. We now see what's going on here. There's a demon. Lots of them. Go back to Mark 5:9. The man answers, "My name is Legion." Legion is defined as translates to very many. A legion in army terms for the Roman army was about 6,000 men. So this guy has, if we go by the technical terms, this guy has 6,000 demons living within him. They've taken control of him. They're the reason he cuts himself. He lives such a crazy, sad life alone in the cemetery, probably wishing he was dead instead of suffering so much. Now, I want to stop. I want to pause this lesson and say something before I move on. One of the biggest things that I know a lot of us struggle with is our own mental health and just keeping it up, keeping it healthy. And I know we all have our own demons that we're battling. And especially in a time like this where there's a lot of chaos and a lot of anxiety going on in the world, that our mental health can get really out of control. And I did a video on this for me 2 weeks ago called it was our second Friday sit down 2 Holy Week Grief, where I talked about my mental health during all of this. And what I am asking of you is, if you're hurting, if you're not doing well, or you know someone who isn't doing well, reach out, talk to them, or talk to somebody. There are plenty of resources out there for you to look at. One of the biggest things I've done during this time is go to BetterHelp and sign up to talk to a counselor. Unfortunately, it's not free, but it's been one of the best decisions I've made. So I encourage you that if you're struggling or know somebody that is struggling during this time, mentally, physically, spiritually, reach out to them. We're only as strong as the foundation of surrounding us. I pray that if you're struggling specifically, that you will see the greener side of all this. You will see the days when we can look forward to normality again. You can realize how important you truly are here on this world. And that a thing like this isn't tough enough to knock you out. You are strong. You are loved. You will get through this. And God's going to guide you the entire way. The entire way throughout all this. God's with you. Through the ups, the downs, the hurts, the anger, the frustrations. God's got this. Trust in Him. And again, if you need help, seek help. My PSA for you for today. So, but I wanted to stop and talk about that because that short little section is something that we can all relate to. So I wanted to stop and expound upon that because I know in times like this is the time that we need to hear stuff like this. So let's continue. Thank you for listening. Jesus and the demons now have a little conversation, and just when you think this true story couldn't get any weirder, listen to what happens in Mark 5:11 and 12. A large herd of pigs was eating on a hill near there. The evil spirits begged Jesus, "Send us to the pigs, let us go to them." So first we have demons, and now we have dead pigs. Verse 8, we read that Jesus commanded the demons to leave this man. Now he allows them to enter a herd of pigs, totaling 2,000 pigs. And Mark tells us in verse 13 that all 2,000 pigs ran down the hill and into the lake. They all drowned. Think of what kind of imagery this paints. The destruction that Satan wants to do in the world. And prior to that, he was doing that kind of destruction to one man. There was there was one guy who was not excited about Jesus casting out all these demons, and that guy was in charge of the pigs, which makes sense. You have your entire livestock now dead because Jesus sent demons into them. I'm trying to explain that one to your boss. But the guy ran to town, told everybody what happened. The people came back to see what happened. And Mark 17 says they all begged Jesus to leave. And think about how scary of a situation that is. Obviously it's a sign of praise to see Jesus perform such a mighty miracle to cast out 6,000 demons out of this guy. But imagine how frightening that would be at the same time, because it's frightening because we don't understand. We don't understand how this is happening, why this is happening. How does he have the ability to do this? People were scared. And they knew that they had to go back to what they knew, and life was calm before Jesus came in and casted out all these demons. So that's why he begged them to leave. And in doing so, they missed the power that God had just saved the life of a man because they were only concerned about the pigs. Now, we're supposed to care for animals and not abuse them, first and foremost. Here, though, is an example of how much more valuable people are to God than any other animal in creation. This man was worth at least 2,000 pigs. That's how many had to die so that he could be healed. Think about it too. Not that much later, God gives his ultimate sign of his love, his grace, when he sends his one and only Son to die so that we all could receive the gift of salvation and be forgiven for our sins. That story may be more familiar to you than the one we're reading right now, but think about the unfairness of Jesus' death versus the pig's death. So what happened to the cemetery man? What happened to the crazy guy? So his life radically changed. Go back to the beginning part of this section of scripture we're reading. Mark says he was out of control, wandering the cemetery caves, screaming, howling, and cutting himself. Verse 15, they saw the man who had the evil spirit. He was sitting down, he was clothed, and in his right mind. After this encounter, he wanted to go hang out with Jesus. Verse 18 says he begged him to go hang out. But Jesus had a mission for this guy. Who better to show the powers of God than one everyone knew had been seriously messed up? Your troubles can and will be your testimony. How do I know that? I live that. Anything I talk about comes from my testimony and what God and Jesus has been able to do for me and through me to overcome all the darkness, all the demons that I've fought. So, again, who better to show the powers of God than the one everyone knew had been seriously messed up, but now was perfectly sane? Mark 5:19 says, but Jesus didn't allow the man to go. He told him to go home to your family and friends and tell them about all that the Lord had did for you. Tell them how the Lord was good to you. And what was the result? He did it. He went and did as Jesus said. He told the great things Jesus done for him. And the result of that, everyone was amazed at what he told them. To end this, I just have one closing thought. No matter how you feel for the pigs, they were the powerful image of the destructive power of Satan, while at the same time an even more powerful picture of the healing power of God and the love he has for even just one person. God loves us. He loves you. He yearns to hear you. He wants to enter a relationship with you. All you have to do is accept him. And I pray that throughout this message, I know this message was a heavier one than the Salt and Light messages were, but I pray that this message reaches you in ways that you didn't know you had to be told. But that is it for week 1 of Salt and Light. Let me go through some announcements real quick, and I will close this out with prayer and see you on Friday. Speaking of that, Friday, we have a brand new series coming out called Let's Play Minecraft. It's my first attempt at recording a Let's Play, so bear with me if it's rough. The one cool thing about it is I'm not editing it, so I don't have to worry about it. One of my youth, Kenny, is taking the gracious job of doing it for me and giving me a little bit of a break from the recording process and everything. So thank you, Kenny. So expect to see that out Friday at 6. And then Sunday, we're back for Sunday school with week 5 of Bible Basics. Can you believe we've done 5 weeks of this already? It's blown my mind. So we are wrapping up the Old Testament organization. We're going to talk about all the prophets, major and minor, from Isaiah to Malachi. And then I will see you back here on Wednesday for part 2. All right, let me close this out with prayer, and then we'll see you on Friday. Let's pray. Father God, we give thanks to know that you are always with us, that you're always there for us, and that no matter how we encounter you, we know your love, your strength, your healing ability, your grace is always available to us. All we have to do is accept you, to learn of the ability for you to cast out all the darkness, all the demons that we may face daily. Know that there's people out there that you've called, that you've trained to help people seek you in the darkest of times. To be able to see the light that your followers are called to be, the light of the world, that they can see that light at the end of this dark tunnel. And I pray that whoever's battling their own demons right now crushes them with their heel, with your help, with your guidance, and with your love most of all, that they may see this light and learn to become their light of the world. Lord, we bless you. We thank you for another day. And we lift all this to you in your holy and precious and wonderful name. Amen. I will see you on Friday for Let's Play Minecraft Part 1. Until then, stay blessed.